The deaths of a young woman and a teenage boy while in custody in Scotland could have been avoided. That's the conclusion of a damning inquiry into the deaths of 21-year-old Katy Allen and 16-year-old William Brown. Both took their own lives within months of each other while being held at Polmont Young Offenders Institution in Falkirk in 2018. Their families say they'd both been terribly let down and want immunity to be lifted so criminal prosecutions can be considered. Our Scotland correspondent Peter Smith on their continuing fight for justice.
Katy Allen and William Lindsay never met, but both died by suicide in the same young offenders institution just 4 months apart. It has taken almost 7 years, but we were with Katy's family as they received the report that confirms both deaths could have been avoided.
This is essentially a proper FBI report.
So a sheriff says this is preventable, that's...
Yes.
Inside Polmont Young Offenders Institution, Katy had been bullied and broken. When I first met Katy's family just after her death in 2018, they told me they had tried to raise concerns.
There was a female prison officer sitting beside us, and she had witnessed Katy being upset. And she told me that I wasn't to worry about it and go home, that she would deal with it. And she did. The next day the police came to our door and told me Katy was dead.
William Lindsay was a known suicide risk, but Polmont staff decided not to monitor him. He took his own life alone in his cell. The families today called for Crown immunity to be lifted from the prison staff to allow for prosecutions. The fatal accident inquiry in front of you does not apportion blame, do you?
Yeah.
Yes. What's happened is a complete failure, systemic failure across the prison service. And what we're trying to do is to highlight that so no other young people die again.
The families want justice, they want the Crown immunity lifted, they want the national oversight mechanism and all the various things. That's just the start of a wish list.
This report has looked at 2 young lives lost here at Polmont Young Offenders Institute. 2 deaths we now know were preventable, but we have uncovered further allegations of a widespread culture of bullying and prison officers so negligent they ignored young people coming to them pleading for help. This is a current prison officer who worked at Polmont for almost a decade. He tells me he warned about failures just before Katy and William went in.
The gangs picked on anyone they saw as vulnerable or unprotected. But if a victim complained or tried to report it, there were prison staff who told them to stop being an attention seeker. If they complained again, they'd be threatened.
That was a cultural thing you saw at Polmont, not just a one-off?
Definitely, yep, definitely. They'd even tell other inmates to have a word with them, tell them to keep quiet.
You raised concerns with your seniors?
Yes.
With the Scottish Prison Service?
Yes.
What happened?
You were seen as trying to rock the boat. So many of the things I warned about are in that fatal accident inquiry for Katy and William.
The Scottish Prison Service did not respond to these allegations. In a statement, they say they are grateful to the Sheriff for his recommendations in the inquiry. The Sheriff's report has 25 points for change, including a redesign of cells and new anti-bullying measures. The UK government tonight says it will consider allowing prosecutions, but these families who have their answers are now demanding accountability. On that, their fight goes on. Peter Smith, ITV News, Glasgow.